It was always the Jags.
It's always the Jags. It's always the Jags.
Always the Jags.
Welcome back into Always the Jags, your podcast for everything Jacksonville, everything Jaguars, everything Duval. Man, it's tough. It's tough. I'm not gonna say it's tough being a Jags fans right now because we're still 4-2, right? We did just lose to the Seahawks, right? That's not a surprise. Well, I'm not gonna say it's not a surprise, but it was a tough game because we were on such a high after beating the Chiefs, right, on Monday night. And so coming down from that, people kind of thought there could be a lull, right? And it's funny because like pundits and even the team kind of predicted that. And Liam Cohen's like, we need to keep working, make sure that doesn't happen. And Jaguars players even said they were disappointed in how they played against the Chiefs. So you would kind of hope that they would use that to move themselves forward against the Seahawks. However, that didn't end up coming into fruition. And that didn't end up happening. We ended up losing 20-12 in a game where we fought and battled, and we led early on, but it felt like once Seattle took control of the game, they never let go. Obviously, we didn't threaten. We took a lot of snaps, not in the lead. It was a beautiful touchdown play to Brian Thomas Jr. And right when that happened, I thought, okay, the Jaguars might be able to get another win at the home crowd and stay undefeated for our fans. But in reality, Seattle's a good team. Seattle is a good, tough team. They've only lost to what I think is the best team in the NFL right now with the Buccaneers, and they lost by 3, right? And I do think the Buccaneers are the best team in the NFL. And then they lost to the 49ers, who were previously undefeated until they were beaten by us, and guess who? The Buccaneers. So the Seahawks are right up there at the top echelon of the league. Like they're easily top 10, probably top 5, honestly, if you look at who they've lost to. I think some rankings had them as high as 5, and the Seahawks are a very complete team, right? I'm not trying to glass them up or anything, but I wouldn't be surprised if the championship NFC came down to the Seahawks and the Buccaneers, which people would love that. That would be an amazing game to see. Have Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold go at it again. But the Seahawks they're a very complete team right now. And the thing I underestimated was their defensive line. Because they came in waves. Trevor Lawrence got sacked more in this game, more than he had the entire year. I think he only had like 3 or 4 sacks on the season. They got to him 7 times on Sunday. 7 times, which is crazy to think about. But Byron Murphy, DeMarcus Lawrence was still showing a lot, even though he's, I think, in his 30s. Obviously, Leonard Williams is still playing at a really high level. And then Boye Mafe. They have a really deep rotation, and that defensive line got out of it, and they dominated the line of scrimmage. And it's unfortunate that we couldn't take advantage of their secondary missing some of their top guys in Devin Witherspoon. Tariq Woolen had been playing that well anyway, but they were missing him and Julian Love, who was a starter for them. We couldn't take advantage of that because Trevor never got any time. Because not only did he take 7 sacks, but he got 25 pressures. So if you think about it, that's over 30 times where, the quarterback does not have enough time to get through his reads. Because the pressure is, if you get pressured, you're not able to finish your reads because there's a guy in your face. And usually some of those off-script plays where Trevor has to run outside of the pocket, he can make some of his best throws and has made some of the best plays. But this time they contained him in the pocket very, very well. And then obviously on offense, I don't really blame our defense too bad for giving up 20 points to Sam Darnold. Because honestly, Sam Darnold's been playing really well. Our third down efficiency was great. I think we held them to like 1 of 9 on third down, which is technically supposed to be a winning formula, right? I think the main problem was once we scored on offense, our defense let them score right back. And had our defense been able to make a stand right then and get us the ball back, and then we were able to score again, the game might have been different, might have felt different. We would have had could have been a momentum shift there. But it's never, and our defense has done this before in the past. Like when you score and then your defense goes and gives up points right after it, it kind of almost sucks away the momentum of that score. And so our in the our defense did a great job of holding the Seahawks down to 20 points, but not enough to carry the momentum, right? In order to keep it there. Because by the time we started um, getting them to do all these 3-and-outs, the game, it wasn't out of hand, but we were already down by a score. So now we were playing catch up. And it might have been more conservative play calling from Seattle to try to run out the clock and everything. That could have been a factor as well. But the point being is we got to be able to run out that clock. I mean, we got to be able to keep the momentum. So if we score, our defense has to go make a stop or get a turnover or do something so we can keep that momentum and try to score again. Because I think that kind of sucked the wind out of our sails a little bit, and ultimately held us back from being able to take a commanding lead against the Seahawks. So again, and I think this game illustrates how good Robert Hainsey is and how much we're going to miss him. And I was a fan of the Jonah Monheim pick. I didn't want him to start this year. I wanted to take some time. And I wasn't really sure about Robert Hainsey. But this game has only proved to me how good Robert Hainsey is and how vital he is to our offensive line, because our offensive line is playing way better this year than it was last year, even after this abysmal performance today. But the thing is, Robert from the center position, and I don't know why center is the most underpaid out of all the offensive line positions, but from the center position, Robert Hainsey's job is to pick up stunts, pick up blitzes, call them out, and make sure guys are in the right spots for the protection, right? And Seattle ran so many stunts and blitzes, and almost none of them were picked up because either Jonah Monheim didn't see them, didn't correctly diagnose them, or didn't correctly let the other guys know, hey, you got to be here, you got to be here. Now, for a veteran like Patrick McCarry, for Ezra Cleveland, who's been doing this for a while, yeah, you shouldn't really have to rely on a rookie in order to get set up right and to stop a stunt that's coming in your face, right? But Robert Hainsey, savvy veteran, clearly he knows what he's doing, because in any other game, it's not like this is the first time someone's run a stunt or a blitz on our team. Difference is that Robert Hainsey has been able to diagnose it and pick it up, and so is Trevor too. But because Robert Hainsey was so good at it, it allowed Trevor to focus on where his skill position players were going to be. Now, Jonah Monheim, and again, that takes experience, it takes time. And obviously playing, again, your first test against Seattle's defensive front, it's not like Jonah Monheim didn't get a chance to start against the Panthers, right? Or the Jets or the Raiders, some teams that don't have fearsome front four like the Seahawks do. So it was a tough task for a rookie. But to me, this is clear that we need Robert Hainsey back as soon as possible. Because we did have, and it's in the Chiefs game, Jonah Monheim came in and they were kind of able to, they didn't miss a beat, right? They kept driving down the field and we were able to get that score. And I think it was a little bit different because I think the momentum of the game was already going. We had an idea for where Steve Spagnuolo was sending blitzes. So I think he just kind of fit in the groove that Robert Hainsey already left behind. But in the Seahawks game, again, I don't know. Maybe Robert Hainsey would have played as bad maybe it would have been just as bad if Robert Hainsey was in. But there were some guys getting beat that they shouldn't have been getting beat. Like Walker Little got beat a lot. Anton Harrison, I think he was in and out of the game. I think he's still a little bit hurt. This was probably one of his worst games. It was the worst game of the season for probably all the guys on the offensive line. And again, I think that's a big difference with Robert Hainsey, especially because if Robert Hainsey can take on most defensive tackles one-on-one, that does free up other guys to help with blitz and stunts and stuff too. But if Jonah Monheim is struggling against a guy and Cleveland has to come out, okay, now you might have a free rusher. Or now someone like Leonard Williams, who might need to be double-teamed, can't be double-teamed because Jonah Monheim needs help guarding Byron Murphy because he can't do it by himself. And again, he's a 7th round rookie. So let's give him some time, give him some grace. I don't know if he'll be our starter of the future. We'll see. That's all stuff that can be taken care of in the future. He definitely has the physical tools, right? And I think we saw that in the Chiefs game. So that's why I think this was more of a mental thing than necessarily a physical thing, of understanding the game and why he wasn't able to. But clearly it had a huge impact on us. I'm not sure if Hainsey's coming with us to London. That would be vital if we're going to stand a chance against the Rams front, because if we thought the Seahawks were fearsome, the Seahawks have guys that are drifting out of their prime. Rams have guys that are going to be in their prime within the next 2-3. Some of them are squarely in the middle of their prime. So if we thought the Seahawks defensive line was going to be tough, wait till we play the Rams in London. So hopefully Robert Hainsey can be back and play because we need him. And I think the injury to Brenton Strange hurt us a lot more than I thought. I thought we'd been able to weather the storm, and fortunately, like I said, we've got the bye week, so we'll get him back after that. Even if we take a loss here against the Rams, which again, don't want, I'm going to talk about how we can take advantage of them in this next episode, but it's going to be tough for us to bounce back, I guess, with Brenton. It's going to kind of feel like all that, if we go 2 losses into the bye and we're 4-3, all that momentum from beating the Chiefs will feel kind of stale. And we don't want that. Now, the Raiders will be a get-right game right after that. We can't drop it, but it will be a get-right game. But that'll be tough because you really want to go. If we can go into our Houston game 5-2, there's I'm not going to say a good chance for a sweep, but it could happen. You know, like I said, it's Houston is a team that's trying to get itself back on its feet. They have a couple of tough matchups before us. And so if we get them while they're reeling, while they're struggling, while they're maybe even pressing to try to make plays that aren't really there because their season is on the line, that can be a good opportunity for us to take advantage and get that upset. So anyway, back to the game. Obviously, JSN torched us. I mean, he blew past Greg Newsome on one of the first plays. I think Greg Newsome thought he had safety help, and again, we were expecting him to thrive in zone. But again, I don't even, like, I know they traded Tyson Campbell for him. I wish they could have, like, done the trade and then had it take effect, like, on Monday or something, because that's not enough time for, like, Greg Newsome to know our playbook. And, like, we need him to come in because Tyson Campbell's gone, so, like, you got to take a starting spot. But, like, with the trade, like, I wouldn't even played him probably because he's only been here for 2 days, and zone concepts tend to be more complicated than man. Now, it does help that Tyson Campbell also got beat by DK Metcalf the same weekend, so it doesn't look like most people in the league probably look at that trade and were like, what the heck? You got 2 struggling corners out there that just got traded for each other. So that does make me feel a little bit better, right? It's not like Tyson Campbell went out and balled over in Cleveland. But that is some communication things that we need to iron out. And it didn't really matter and that was my worry with Tyson Campbell because he's used to going against the best of the best. But when JSN was in the game, it didn't matter who we had on him. Like Jordan Lewis got beat by Cooper Kupp, which was for a really good touchdown. And I thought Jordan Lewis would be able to handle Cooper Kupp. And I think he mostly did, but he just did get beat on that one play. But it didn't matter who JSN was on, whether it was Lewis, Newsome. I don't know if he lined up against Hunter that much. I don't know how many defensive snaps Travis Hunter played. But he took advantage of everybody. And again, I can understand trading Tyson Campbell to get out from that contract, but now we don't have anyone with number 1 corner experience. Now, of course, you can get number 1 corner experience, but that means you're going to be thrown into the fire facing the top guys. So that's the thing that we have going on this week. Thank you so much for watching Always the Jags. Make sure you like and subscribe down below. Check out some of these other videos that I'm sure you'll be interested in as we chase Duval greatness. Thank you for joining us again, and until next time.